We begin this hour at the White House, where the economy and tariffs are front and center today. President Trump will meet with Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry before they're expected to make a major announcement. Stocks this morning jumped on reports from the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg that the tariffs the White House will implement next month will be more narrow in scope than originally thought. Who would have thunk that? I want to bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who's tracking all of this for us. Ed, markets up today only because the president is constantly gyrating on what he is doing with regards to the tariffs. One day he's implementing them, one day he's not, one day they're wide-ranging, the next day that they're narrow.
Yeah, well, welcome to Trump's White House, Vlad. This morning there are reports that, in fact, the tariff threat is narrowing to more industry-specific tariffs, and so that appears to have the market quite happy, and thus the multi-point jump there so far this morning. One thing the president is doing later today is announcing an economic development deal down in the state of Louisiana, where they're set to announce about $5.8 billion in steel manufacturing set for that state, driven by Hyundai, the Korean automaker. That deal coming as an example, the White House will say, of the ongoing push to manufacture such things in the United States, the kind of thing that could stave off some threatened tariffs either on South Korea or on the auto industry more broadly. So we'll wait and see what the president has to say about that there. April 2nd is what the White House has been calling the Day of Liberation, or when these tariffs are supposed to go into effect around the world on essentially virtually everything coming in from just about every country, but with the word that these tariffs may become a little more industry specific, and perhaps you're going to see some changes in exactly what gets slapped with a bit of a levy and what doesn't. Of course, all that comes amid the concerns and the polling that shows Americans still concerned about inflation, still concerned about the economy, and believing that the president could be doing much more to fight rising prices.
So this was sort of interesting that popped up over the weekend, Ed. We're hearing that the National Security Advisor and the second lady are headed to Greenland this week. The trip is already causing controversy. I noticed on their Instagram, the second lady's Instagram account, the number of Greenlandic people that are essentially saying, please don't come. Also, they're also having elections there, which people think it's not a coincidence. What can you tell us?
Well, they just had elections recently that led to a more conservative parliament that is sort of walking slowly towards a possible referendum on independence from Denmark. But we know the second lady's set to be there Thursday through Saturday. Among other things, she's attending a big dog sled race in that state, in Greenland. It's not a state, it's not a province, it's Greenland. And she's going to be there with her son. What we don't know is whether the National Security Advisor's trip, which is set to occur also with the Energy Secretary, is happening at the exact same time or ahead of time. He is primarily there to visit the U.S. Space Force base that is based on the island. Of course, Greenland, given where it sits, is a strategically important location for all sorts of concerns, whether it's Arctic shipping routes and security of the Arctic Circle, which has become an increasingly busy way of passage, especially for the Russians and the Chinese, as they try to find faster, cheaper shipping routes and keep reminding the rest of the world that they have the ability to do such things. Also, obviously, a big fishing area. And then there are a lot of undersea cables that connect essentially North America with Europe, with Africa, that run up into that direction. And there's been concern in recent years that Russian ships may be trying to sort of dislodge some of those undersea cables. And so it's by putting more of a U.S. presence there, the argument is perhaps Russia and China would back off. Also important to remember, while the president himself has talked much more actively, much more openly about somehow taking over Greenland or making sure it's more within the American sphere of influence, this is something that's been talked about for decades by presidents, by secretaries of state, by the Pentagon, is something that may be necessary one day, given the melting in the Arctic, given Russia and China's increased interest up there, and just the fact that geographically it would be something we'd rather have on our side than potentially an adversarial relationship. But given these visits and given the reaction of Greenlanders, it may be that the relationship's becoming more adversarial simply by showing up.
Yeah, I saw one sort of humorous response to this trip on the second lady's social media. If you want to go check out a dog race, go to Alaska. Ed O'Keefe for us at the White House. Ed, my friend, thank you very much. Happy Monday.